So you can't come to the Functional Medical Institute without us getting into genetics. Do genetics really matter? And people say, well, it's all about my genes. The good news is that genes are the loaded gun and the environment is the trigger. So just because you've been born with a certain set of genes doesn't mean they have to be turned on. But if we have certain polymorphisms, certain SNPs in our genes, it may be a part of the reason why we have a harder time getting that yellow fat off, why we have a harder time keeping our blood sugars under control, why we have a harder time with this thing that we call obesity. And a few of the genes that are really worth mentioning are like the PPAR gamma, peroxisome proliferated activator receptor gamma.
Huh?
I always like to throw them off with
I love it when she talks
twister.
sexy like that. So awesome.
Peroxisome proliferator activated receptor gamma.
Wow, baby.
So the individuals who have an abnormal gene or SNP here are likely to put on new fat very easily next to their friends. Their friends are like skinny thin, but this individual, PPAR, they can put on fat really quick. Individuals with the FTO gene, fat mass and obesity gene, they have difficulties with appetite suppression, temperature. They also have problems with becoming satiated. They have to exercise a lot and keep their calorie level very low, which means macronutrient density has to be rich. You can't eat junk food and feel good. You can't eat saturated fat and a sugar diet with an FTO gene SNP. It's not going to work. The ADRB2 genes, these individuals, they can put weight on and they have a really hard time getting weight off. In fact, their bodies like to stay in motion. So in today's society, where sitting has become the new smoking and we're not very active, individuals with the ADRB2 gene working a desk job, guess what? Fat loss is resistant. It's very, very, very difficult. So having genetic knowledge about your own blueprint can be the success to keeping your lifestyle healthy and getting that little bit of excess spread around the middle off.
And just a point of note, interestingly enough, I know we threw some complicated terminology in these single nucleotide polymorphisms or SNPs. However, it's important to understand that about 85 to 90% of our population today have these SNPs in their lives. Isn't that interesting? These SNPs are actually pretty normal. They're they're actually beneficial if you look at it from the primal standpoint. 10,000 years ago, would it have been beneficial to actually make fat efficiently? Probably, because food was not around. So our genes have not evolved at the speed with which our environment has. Therefore, we have this collision course between our environment and our genes, and this epigenetic collision has resulted in this obesity crisis. The genes are not ready for the frequency of feeding. Make sense? So we're supposed to not eat as much, not as frequent, and move more. Everybody, can I catch that?
One more time.
We're not supposed to eat as much. We're supposed to eat less frequent, and we're supposed to move more. And by the way, our primal ancestors probably slept a lot more than we do.